interview with Canada's hometown hero. Give it up for WildTurtle!
WildTurtle, congratulations on the thrilling 5-game series. You also had a great game in the 5th game. What did it feel like playing for this crowd?
It felt amazing playing for the home crowd. I love Toronto. I love all my fans. I love Canada. It just feels awesome being home and playing.
Yeah, and you can feel the love coming from both angles as well. The Canadian flag, the fans, everything. But the series itself was also incredible. Were you expecting that level of intensity from CLG coming into this 3rd place match?
We knew C9 was pretty good. I think all the top 4 teams right now are extremely good, and we just tried to play our best, and I think it worked out pretty well.
Absolutely, and in this 5-game series against CLG, what do you think the turning point was? Because you guys seem to be trading punches back and forth and back again. How did you pull it out finally in that 5th game?
Honestly, we kind of just tried to play a little bit more aggressive, and I think it really worked out because we kind of played a really long game, like 50-minute games, and I think we just tried to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, in the final game, the aggression finally worked out for you. Now you have to set your eyes on the regional qualifier. You guys obviously would have loved to run through the split, get first seed. That didn't happen. Now you're there. How do you prepare in the next coming days so that you can still make it to Worlds?
Then we're just going to practice extremely hard, and we really want to be Worlds so we can please all our fans. I love all you guys.
All right, WildTurtle. Thank you very much. Congratulations and good luck for sure. It's great to be in Canada. For now, though, we're going to send it to the casters to close out a bit more.
Thank you very much, Jen. Amazing to hear from WildTurtle. Again, it must feel good to play with the Canadian flag on his back in front of the hometown crowd. He backdoored a Nexus to keep them in this series.
I know he's been looking for this for a long time. You got the back door, front door, the Nexus,
Yeah.
I guess. He really ran straight in with the minions, but he also got to show off in the last game. 10 kills on the Ezreal, building the flat armor penetration to boot, and chasing down a couple stragglers.
They also got to stay here a pretty long time on stage. Those were incredibly long games.
More than 10 minutes of fame for sure.
Exactly. Very long. And the last game was the shortest one at 32 minutes, and they were playing 50-minute long games. And he was talking about how they had to turn the aggression up a little bit. Is exactly what they needed. They turned it on, and they had those early TPs to bot lane. You think of Immortals, you think of those plays where Huni's coming down to the bottom lane, and then he gets those early kills. That time he did it. That time Darshan didn't answer, and that's when they started getting that lead.
And it says something about how deep these guys can dig when after 4 45-plus minute games, they can still turn it up a notch and increase the pace of the game.
Well, after such a close series, it would only make sense to interview the other side as well. So we're going to toss it back to Jat, who is standing by for a chat with Stixxay.
Thank you very much, Pastry. And I'm with the AD carry on the other side of the matchup right now, Stixxay. Stixxay, that was a fantastic series. Unfortunately, you're not kind of on the winning side of it, but tell me what your thoughts are about playing in such a grueling and close 5-game series.
I guess it was like a really, really long series. Every game, we knew it was going to be like 40, 50-minute games every game. So I would say mentally it was pretty taxing. And by game 5, I feel like it kind of got to us. I felt like the first 4 games we played like pretty well, pretty consistent. And then game 5 just kind of got to us. So.
Yeah, and that's surprising to hear as well because you guys have had so much experience in high-pressure situations. 5 games in Las Vegas, great run at MSI. Why do you think, obviously it's hard to say, but why do you think it could have gotten to you guys in the end?
Well, honestly, it just, like every game was like 50 minutes. So after 5 games of that, it just gets really tiring. It's hard to focus and always think about the best thing to do. And sometimes you just slip up. So like last game we just messed up, overcommitted bottom, and pretty much lost the game off that. So.
Yeah, and you also had a few tremendous Jin games throughout the series, incredibly competitive. But now you're in a peculiar situation where if TSM wins tomorrow, you go to Worlds. Are you rooting for TSM tomorrow, as it's sacrilege for a CLG fan, CLG player to do?
After we lost to TSM in the finals, I asked Doublelift if he would give me a TSM jersey. So yeah, I'm a TSM fan.
All right. You heard from Stixxay. If that happens, they go to Worlds. If not, they'll be in the regional qualifier. Thank you very much, Stixxay. It was a great series and a pleasure to watch. I'm sure the fans are happy as well. For now, though, we're going to send it to the analyst desk to close out the day.
Thank you, Jat. Thank you so much, Stixxay and WildTurtle, for taking some time after the games. Intense games, and I think kind of what Jat was saying in the end of that is the way we saw it, very close, very long games, and that could have been CLG as well, doing just what Immortals did in that last game. It was breakout fights and then 4,000 gold leads that both teams were getting at times.
I think this was kind of the. Sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, everybody's pile on.
Sorry. It was so exciting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go.
sorry. I think this was just kind of the first game that bucked the trend where like bot lane was losing for bot lane for Immortals and then winning topside for Immortals. So like this was the first time that their bot side finally won, and it kind of opened up the rest of the game because Huni was able to join in bot lane, and then they could snowball around the rest of the map, whereas usually there was some kind of shift in power.
And I think that Turtle, because he's such an aggressive player, when he's behind, he can sometimes look pretty rough because he's still playing aggressively, right? And he's still going for those plays, and they're not going to work out when you're behind. But this game was pretty nuts. Once he got ahead, how aggressively he's playing, he's able to just dive forward, assassinating Stixxay. He was really, really on point in this game 5, and definitely.
And it all came from that play in the bot side where we've seen it 4 times in a row.
Let's bring it up on your screen right now.
Yeah, we might as well. Reignover goes to the bottom lane, or Xmithy has ganked bottom lane every single time, 3 minutes in, and it's worked pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And for the first game, we actually see Immortals respond properly, because the second that they're going to see him in the map, they're going to have TP in, and WildTurtle makes the correct decision to go for the all-in right here, and from this point onwards, and Immortals is set to go.
Yeah, I mean, Reignover is just finishing up right at the very end to help turn around the rest of these kills with Huni, and that kind of offsets the disadvantage he's going to be at from using his TP.
And I mean, the fact of the matter is, if WildTurtle tried to run there, he would have just died to Smithy. He would have accomplished nothing. Instead, he goes aggressive. He gets first blood. And a lot of that was because of the advantage they'd already carved out for themselves in that 2v2 matchup, where they had been landing some really good trades and been able to kind of heal back up because of that Taric.
And as well, the bottom lane definitely getting a little bit of help from Huni. As like we were talking in the games, that Huni was actually playing maybe a little bit selfish, staying in his lane. Not as many TPs as we saw. He was there for the mid-game fights, but like we saw in that bottom lane play just now, that's usually what we're used to from Immortals.
I think a big part, too, is the adaptation in the draft, where they finally banned the Jhin. They're just like, we can't handle this. We don't have a pick into it. Let's just ban it. Give them Sivir. We'll play something else. And I think that was actually huge, as well as letting the Vlad.
Well, yeah, the elephant in the room. You let Vladimir go through every single time. So the mind games, at Game 4, we thought, okay, Rek'Sai is a pick that Immortals wants to get.
That's what we thought.
Reignover has been struggling. And then CLG makes the decision of leaving Vlad and Rek'Sai up. So they say, okay, either you take Vlad or you take Rek'Sai, but we're going to take the rest. But unfortunately, Immortals has won with Vlad without the Rek'Sai, so they have no issues just taking Vladimir, making their composition work, and Reignover looked fine this game. Very comfortable, understanding that you have such a dominant pick in your lane that is able to just flat out win lane and win team fights.
I mean, the tough thing is, though, it's easy to pin it all on the Vlad, but, had that bot lane fight gone a different way, had some of the tragedies not occurred in top lane, it could look very different, because, I mean, Sivir is an AD carry that easily builds Executor's Calling, and that item, it works very well against Vlad. Malzahar is quite good, I think, as far as team fighting. If you can land the ultimate, if you can burst this champion down, you can definitely deal with them. But, Vlad, in combination with them getting very far behind, there's almost no champion better at snowballing.
I thought that they would go with a Kassadin, maybe a little bit riskier, because we saw in the matchup where they ran Malz into Vlad, they picked the QSS on Vlad, and that's kind of become a common build for Vladimir's into Malz, where they go Spirit Visage and QSS, way too much magic resist to actually burn through with the likes of a low damage comp with Shen, Rek'Sai, and Braum.
Well, let's bring it into 16-15 here. A double replay that kind of breaks this game open and shows exactly what WildTurtle was saying is we wanted to play aggressive. And this is actually a back-to-back that you're going to see here in replays.
This is something where, honestly, Darshan had no business going back to defend that turret with one hit on it. He's super low on HP. Yes, Smithy is coming, but him walking back was essentially suicide, and it sets up Immortals for a very good fight.
I mean, when you look at this on your minimap, it looks like this is actually going to be a good play for CLG too. They're getting the complete flank off, but then the way that Immortals just always seems to win these really, really scrappy situations. This one kind of off the back of a Vladimir as well, seeing the Taric pick come through and just how powerful that ult is.
Look at Reignover on the minimap. He's running around the Rosie for Xmithy while he's chasing him into the blue buff, and he's actually going to be able to come back around and make a difference in this fight, which is a crazy thing because they keep chasing here, thinking that they can get something, and surprise, here's going to come Xmithy. I mean, this is just, I don't even know. This is something else.
Yeah. What you expect after that game 5, like Stixxay said, a lot of these games going 40, now 50 minutes, and like you said at the start, it's wasting everything they have in the tank.
And this is right after Darshan reses. He already tried to defend the turret over-aggressively once, then he's going in 1v3. Yeah, Stixxay is coming, but again, he gives up his life for free, and that's kind of what Stixxay's talking about. You have to think, as far as losing mental focus, how did he think this was a good idea here? He goes in, he gives up his life for free. Smithy comes around, tries to finish off that kill very greedily in a 1v3 again, low HP. He gives up his life, and this is where the game was essentially over from. They got so far ahead, and Immortals just never gave CLG a chance to get back in.
It really was the end of it there, but you ask where that confidence come from, and I think about it, and game one was almost very reminiscent of what those fights were. Spawn, back into the fight, Spawn, back into the fight, and it felt good then as the team was behind them, but CLG wasn't as behind each other in these instances.
And that's the thing that Stixxay mentioned. Even though they have so much experience internationally, they've been to so many tournaments, grueling matches against even tougher competition, but the fact that these games have gone to 50 minutes makes it that much more taxing onto whatever mental state you're currently at, because there's so many more factors that you have to go in. If it's a 25-minute game every single time, that's essentially half the amount of thought process behind your actions that you have to do. And I mean, even though there weren't a whole lot of thought process macro-wise, the actual team fighting decisions that you have to go through in this game were just immense.
And that's why I think that big play initially that Turtle was a part of was such a huge part of this game, because to recover mentally from like, oh my God, we just gave up a triple kill and like all these problems, it takes a lot of like resolve. And I think that's something that CLG's been really good with over the course of their seasons and things, but just they didn't have it in them today.
And it seemed like Immortals was able to squeak it out in the end. The 5-game series has come to an end, and to recognize the standout player of the series, it is the Immortals top laner, Huni, as he played absolutely amazing. Whether it was semi-selfish in the beginning to make sure the lane was won, it was in the end all for the team.
I think this was a huge like redemption series for him after getting so much flack in the semifinals, that he's able to come out and basically win his lane all 3 times. I know it's against a Shen, and you know it's kind of expected, but he didn't rely on Reignover at all. He kind of just took this series by himself.
And it wasn't just about the lane, right? It's about incredible team fighting. Even in the games that they did lose, he was kind of like the sole shining light. And a lot of those times, you know, there's one game, him on Gnar, he's chunking out the Vel'Koz, he's getting solo kills, he's doing pretty much everything he possibly can to get his team back in the game.
And I think the performance that stands out to me was that game 4, where even though they lost that game, he's trying to do so much around the map by himself, split pushing, understanding, okay, the split push can't work anymore. I got to flank by myself into the Vel'Koz and the Jhin, and he looks for it and he's able to pull it off. He's running the team around the mini-map and making the pressure by himself. He's putting up as much pressure as a team should solo, which, I mean, that's an MVP performance if I've ever seen one.
Absolutely.
I also gotta love that he has his own little twist on everything. Even though he's playing Echo, even though it's standard, he's going Titanic Hydra, he's picking up Tiamats, and he always has to find a way to make it a little bit more aggressive, give it that Huni flavor, and you gotta love it.
Final thoughts? All set?
I mean, couldn't ask for a better series. I mean, can't wait to see what tomorrow brings.
It's going to be amazing. We've started off day 1. It's on fire, and nobody wants to put it out. We'll turn to the updated playoff bracket now. We have a few more teams to plug in. Immortals completed their Toronto run. I didn't say that. Ending in 3rd place, and it's obviously a little kind of bittersweet for them, once again coming into the series. Following tonight's results, Immortals has secured 70 championship points in their pursuit of a spot at Worlds. Their gauntlet destiny is still up in the air, pending the results of tomorrow's final. If TSM prevail, Immortals will be the regional qualifier boss, only needing to play in the final round of the tournament to win their way to Worlds. Seems pretty nice. They've done the work here. It's hopefully going to pay off in the end for them. What do we feel that is going to actually happen tomorrow? Because the options, like they said, Stixxay, are you a TSM fan? Are CLG fans TSM fans right now? Because C9 has been putting up a huge fight as well.
I think it's really hard to call. And TSM, although they've been so dominant all split long, C9 has looked really good in the playoffs, and they looked really good against Immortals last weekend. And I think one of the things that makes this matchup so interesting is normally you can just kind of look across the board and it's like, well, TSM's actually better in every lane, and their team's better like in team play. But I think C9 actually has a chance across all matchups to be able to actually, at their best, match or even exceed some of TSM's players.
And the big thing for me was that TSM played a pretty grindy style. Like, they weren't very explosive in the semifinals, and we know C9 likes slow, bloodless games. So I think this could be the kind of thing where the matchup of both skill and playstyle is not that bad for C9.
Well, we don't have long to wait. Tomorrow, we are back here live at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario. So be sure to tune in following the conclusion of the EU final in Krakow as TSM takes on Cloud9 for North America's ultimate prize and the first seed at Worlds. Now, that's it for today, but if you're still looking to hang out, head over to facebook.com/LOL Esports in 15 minutes to join myself and the rest of the guys as we relax and chat about the day's events. Now, from all of us here on the desk, the casters, and the entire live broadcast team, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.